Am I the a-hole for not telling my sister-in-law that she peed in the wrong body wash? I, 46 female, and my husband, 46 male, had a falling out with his sister, 40 female, a few years ago. We had agreed to split the rent and bills during a tough time for both of us, and it imploded almost immediately. Due to 1, her refusal to respect communal furniture and spaces, and 2, her lying to us about the cost of bills to get us to pay a higher percentage than we agreed. My husband and I quickly moved out, and since she had never gotten around to adding us to the lease, she was stuck in the apartment until the lease ended. We have since moved out of state and bought a house. Fast forward to now. Sister-in-law called my husband to ask if she and her new boyfriend, 35 male, could stay with us on their way to a friend's wedding in our new state. She said she wanted to make amends and patch things up. I was skeptical, but I told my husband he could decide, and I would do my best to get along. Well, when they got here, she had brought along an additional friend, 30-ish female, as well as her boyfriend. Fine, okay. Rude, but whatever. I settled sister-in-law and her boyfriend into the guest bedroom and made up the day bed in our gaming room for the extra friend. The friend asked if she could shower. I said yes and directed her to the bathroom. She grabbed her stuff, went in and showered. Well, the next morning, we heard sister-in-law and her boyfriend go into the bathroom and start the shower. Then we heard giggling. When sister-in-law and her boyfriend came out, she looked smug and he looked subdued. Sister-in-law went to wake up her friend and they left to get iced coffees. The boyfriend immediately asked me to take him to the airport. I was confused but said sure. My husband was at work at this point. He left while they were getting dressed. On the way to the airport, the boyfriend told me that he was done with sister-in-law, that she had peed in my body wash, shampoo, and conditioner while they were in the shower. Here's the kicker. I don't use body wash. I use soap that a friend of mine makes with goat's milk because I have sensitive skin. My husband uses it too. I also use bar shampoo and conditioner and a body balm bar, so none of the bottles in the shower were mine. They were all her extra friends. I had moved mine and my husband's stuff into our smaller bathroom to make room for the guests. I said, "Thank you for telling me," and left it at that. I dropped him off at the airport. When I got home, sister-in-law and her friend were piled up on my couch with coffee and breakfast, watching Netflix. I said good morning and logged into my computer to play Diablo 4 for a while. I said nothing. Neither sister-in-law nor her friend mentioned a missing boyfriend. Later that day, my husband texted me and asked if we'd all like to go to dinner at our favorite sushi place. I told him that the boyfriend had left and gone home, but that I would ask sister-in-law and her friend. When he asked me why the boyfriend left, I told him he should probably ask his sister. He said okay, and we all agreed to go out for sushi. I told sister-in-law and her friend that I was going to take a shower, and the diabolical light in my sister-in-law's eyes told me all I needed to know. When I walked past the main bathroom and into the bathroom that only had a shower stall, sister-in-law looked frozen. All the way through dinner, she was nervous. When her friend went to shower before bed, sister-in-law looked panicked, but she didn't say anything. "Oh, gross! Nasty!" Shrieks started coming from the bathroom minutes later. The friend came out wrapped in a towel, yelling that I was disgusting for pissing in her stuff, that sister-in-law was right about what a B-word I am, etc. My husband looked shocked. Sister-in-law started yelling at me, asking why I would do that. I calmly said that her boyfriend had told me that she had peed in my shower stuff, and that's why he was leaving. But since I didn't have any stuff in that shower, I wasn't worried about it. I told the extra friend to text sister-in-law's boyfriend if she didn't believe me. Well, he confirmed. Now my sister-in-law and the rest of my husband's family are saying I should have warned the extra friend. Am I the a-hole? Edit. This has blown up way more than I expected. I'd like to address some of the more common responses. 1. Sister-in-law has been enabled by her family her whole life. Everything she does is either blamed on someone else or excused because she's on mental disability. Everyone is expected to cuddle her and never confront her no matter what she says or does. My husband grew up in that environment, and I hate that for him. 2. Additional details. Her now ex-boyfriend disclosed to my husband later that he was not allowed to leave the guest room after their shower until he promised not to tell, and also promised that he would stay with her for the trip and wouldn't tell anyone they broke up until after the wedding. She took his keys away, thinking he wouldn't leave without them. As soon as she and her friend went to get coffee, he asked me to drop him off at the airport. 3. When the extra friend found out it was sister-in-law who peed in her stuff, she cried, asked to use my shower, and I gave her some spare hotel bottles of toiletries that were in the basket in the guest bathroom. Then she took her car, they had all ridden in the extra friend's car, and left. Sister-in-law faked a panic attack and said her chest hurt, so my husband took her to the ER and dropped her off. Then he called his family to tell them what happened and told them to come get her. They drove 8 hours to do it, and that's when the attacks on me started. Not the a-hole. Well, she had a chance to tell the truth when you walked past the main bathroom, but she didn't. She also had a chance to tell her friend when she saw her about to get in the shower, but she chose not to. Not the a-hole. Of course sister-in-law is mad and getting family to gang up on you. Simply remind everyone that she asked to stay with them and said that she wanted to make amends. But then she purposely urinated in those bottles to get back at her brother's wife for something that sister-in-law caused. This would also work well under a petty revenge sub. Make a big Facebook post about it. Do it out of concern for her failing mental health and ask why anyone would support this person and not get them a good shrink. I would absolutely love to do exactly that, but for my own peace of mind, I haven't had any of them on my Facebook in years. She have food. What kind of stupid 40-year-old does stuff like that? Her family should be more concerned about their 40-year-old daughter being unhinged and mentally underdeveloped. She's fragile. Their entire family tiptoes around upsetting her and always has. Everyone is always expected to keep the peace and be the bigger person, so she does whatever she wants. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to take my dead brother's kids? Me, 31 male, live on my own in the city. My brother, 34 male, and I have always had a strained relationship. A little background is that my brother is a diagnosed narcissist, and growing up with him was extremely difficult. He had it out for me since I was born, and would bully me at any chance he got. We went to a K-12 private school, and he would try to make my life a living hell the entire time I went there. For example, when I was playing soccer, he would show up to my games and literally pants me in front of everyone. He would fart on my pillow, spread terrible rumors about me, and make sure that absolutely no one wanted to associate with me. It got so bad that in my sophomore year, my parents had to transfer me from the school that my family had been attending for generations to a different school 2 towns away. When he went to college, I went completely no contact with him, except for mandatory holidays and family gatherings, during which he would still go out of his way to humiliate me at any chance he got. He would say that I was a worthless man for not having children, that I would contribute nothing to society, and that my entire existence was unnecessary. Flash forward to the present day. My brother was married with 2 daughters, ages 6 and 3. Last week, he and his wife were involved in a fatal car accident that tragically took both of their lives. Obviously, this is a devastating situation, and I feel terrible that it happened. However, my brother and I had a terrible relationship, and based on how infrequently I saw him, he felt more like a stranger than family. The funeral is set to happen this weekend, and my girlfriend and I will attend. The problem is that my mom just called me with the most shocking and confusing news I've ever received. My brother and his wife had named me their kid's godfather and wanted me to be their legal guardian if anything ever happened to them. I was never made aware of this, nor agreed to it at all, and I do not want the kids. My girlfriend and I just moved into an apartment together and have discussed our mutual agreement about not wanting kids. We're just settling into living together and are not comfortable taking in the kids. I want to make this clear to my parents, but they are very upset, and I'm not sure how I should go about this. I'm facing a lot of pressure from my other relatives to take the kids, but it's non-negotiable for me. How do I tell them? And am I the a-hole for not wanting to take my dead brother's kids? Not the a-hole. You make it sound as if you never wanted kids, whether your brother's or your own. And that's perfectly fine. Tell your parents that the girls will be happier with a family that wants them. Godfather is just a title, especially if it hasn't been discussed beforehand, then it doesn't mean squat. Yes, he was blindsided by a decision his brother made without his consent. Taking on the responsibility of raising children is a massive life change, and it's completely reasonable to say no if it's not something he wants or is prepared for. Next story. Am I the a-hole for unsistering my sister after she said I missed monumental moments in her life? I, 32 female, am the oldest of 5 children. We all have the same father. One is a full-blooded brother, we share the same egg donor and father, and the other 3 are half-siblings. My middle brother has a different mom, and my 2 youngest siblings are from my stepmom. A little backstory. My real parents separated when I was about 2 to 3 years old after my egg donor was caught cheating in my dad's bed. My brother and I were sitting on the floor with a playpen turned over us, so we couldn't get out. I'm guessing that was my dad's last straw, especially since he was working multiple jobs to take care of us. Fast forward a few years, and my dad ended up with my stepmom, whom he has also known since high school, just like my egg donor. For years, my egg donor and my stepmom never liked each other, and this situation made it worse, to the point where my egg donor eventually abandoned my brother and me. Life went on, and my dad and stepmom had their first child together, my sister. Growing up, the hatred was real. Being 5 years older than my sister, I always had to give up everything I had because she cried, and I was the oldest. I got in trouble for everything my siblings did, to the point where I used school as an escape from the unfairness at home. I was always the one saving my siblings from everything, whether it was getting a beating or getting jumped by kids outside. I felt like I was Captain Save-A-Kid. Years later, I moved out after getting pregnant because I wasn't going to live like that anymore. I wouldn't let my sister manipulate my parents while I took the brunt of it. At the end of the day, I have my own child and mental health to look after. I moved over 1,000 miles away so my relatives couldn't use me as their fallback anymore. It was mentally draining. Little did I know, my sister took my leaving the hardest. Apparently, she became so used to calling me for help, even as a grown woman, that she doesn't know how to take care of things or take responsibility for her own messes. My stepmom called me, asking me to have a conversation with her and suggested creating a group chat for the 3 of us where she could mediate. I reluctantly agreed just so I could say my piece, but honestly, I didn't care much. In a nutshell, my sister called me a shitastic sister. She said I was never there for her and that I missed all types of monumental moments in her life. Reading this as a grown woman, I got upset because everything she was upset with me about were things her mom, my stepmom, did, not me. I didn't respond right away. Instead, I texted my dad separately to ask if he knew what was going on. He said he was aware but was staying out of it. I said okay and went back to the group chat, keeping my response short and sweet. My response was, "You are upset with me for things that have nothing to do with me. You need to direct your anger in the proper direction. Since you feel that way, we no longer need to speak. I no longer have a sister." After my response, I blocked my sister. But immediately, I got a text from my stepmom thanking me for being respectful. I didn't respond because I was still very upset and wanted to blow the lid off the house by exposing the grim reality of our upbringing instead of the rainbows and butterflies picture she's been painting. So am I the a-hole for unsistering my sister? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole if your sister is incapable of doing anything that reflects on her mother, and her mom needs to parent her attempt to, as it's not your job. You're right, it's just crazy that now that I moved across the country, they want to call me to talk to my siblings, because they're out of hand. Not the a-hole. What positive does she bring to your life? Nothing? Then you are not the a-hole for blocking her. Protect your peace, and take care of your family. The only good thing is, she's a good auntie to my son. Other than that, nothing. He has his own phone. He can contact her when he wants to. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my brother's girlfriend to my wedding, even though she insists? Hi everyone. I'm in a tough spot and not sure if I'm in the wrong. I, 30 male, am getting married in 3 months to my fiancé, 28 female, and we decided to keep this ceremony pretty small. About 50 guests, mostly close family and dear friends. We don't really have the budget for more people. My brother, 35 male, has been dating a woman, let's call her Anna, 32 female, for about a year. They're not married and don't live together yet, but they're clearly serious. However, Anna has been a problem since the beginning. In the few instances we've interacted, she's made snide comments about my fiancé and our wedding choices. For example, she criticized the fact that we're having a child-free wedding. She said our menu sounds too basic. We chose traditional Italian food, nothing fancy. Once in front of the whole family, she joked that she doesn't see our marriage lasting long. My fiancé feels uncomfortable around Anna, and honestly, so do I. When we sent out the invitations, we only included my brother, assuming the reason would be obvious. Well, it wasn't. When Anna found out she wasn't invited, she blew up. She called me, saying it's a matter of respect, and that as my brother's partner, she should automatically get an invite. My brother agrees with her and even threatened not to come if we don't invite her to. Now my parents have stepped in, saying it's just one day and we should try to keep the peace in the family. But my fiancé and I feel like inviting Anna would mean sacrificing our comfort on one of the most important days of our lives. I don't want to exclude my brother, but I don't think I'm obligated to invite someone who has been disrespectful to us. So, am I the a-hole? You are absolutely not obligated to invite someone, and you have multiple valid reasons. 1. You have chosen to have a small wedding, with limited guest numbers, which is absolutely your prerogative. 2. She has repeatedly made snide comments about your wedding choices. 3. She has even gone so far as to say she doesn't see the marriage lasting long. Who would ever invite someone who felt that way about their marriage to come and celebrate it with them? 4. Keeping the family peace should be said more often to the problem person, not the victims of the crappy behavior. Why aren't your parents encouraging your brother to keep the peace by accepting your choices for your own wedding? He also needs to understand that his girlfriend's own crappy behavior is the reason she's not invited. At the end of the day, I stand my ground. He can either attend or not, and likewise for your parents. You've summed up my feelings better than I could have myself. I completely agree that keeping the peace should be directed at the person causing the conflict, not the people dealing with it. My parents seem to think that keeping my brother happy is the easiest way to avoid drama. But that just leaves my fiancé and me to carry the burden. It's frustrating because we've done nothing to provoke Anna. Her behavior is the root issue here. As much as I want my brother there, I feel like inviting someone who openly disrespects us would set a bad precedent for the future. It's not just about the wedding day, it's about standing up for what's right. If that costs me some family goodwill, I guess that's a trade I'm willing to make. Thanks again for the validation. Sometimes you just need to hear it from someone else to feel less crazy. Just tell him she doesn't support your marriage. And since this day is literally about you getting married, why would she want to come? Also, the wedding is child-free, so she couldn't come anyway. Ask your parents why he can't keep the peace in the family for just one day. Looks like they've revealed who the golden child is. Actually, my parents are very protective of me, but sometimes it seems like this makes them feel guilty about my brother, so they become extra sensitive about issues between us. Don't know if this makes sense.